Hey everyone, this is Bill with Reciprocal Response. Welcome to my channel. Today we're just going to be doing a basic video on how to break down, clean, lube, and put back together a pistol. This isn't for the gun tube experts. This is for the average guy. Some people just don't know, and hopefully we can do this and somebody will get something out of it. And please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and really helps the channel. Let's go. Alright guys, today we're going to be cleaning a Glock Gen 5 MOS. First thing is for all the internet range officers. Make sure it's clear. Magazine's out, nothing in the chamber. What you want to do on Glocks, there's little tabs you need to pull down. Simply pull the trigger, pull your slide forward. Simple as that. Take out your spring, and the barrel simply falls out. So basically, to get started, you'll need a couple of things. A cleaning brush. This one actually has a slot you can put your patches through and push through the barrel. Might need some Q-tips, some cleaning patches. There are many cleaners, oils, and whatnot. I like using CLP. I am not sponsored. They don't pay me to say anything good about this, but this is something that I like and use. Here's another one you could probably see a little better. It cleans, lubes, protects, as they advertise, but it works really well. I've been using it for a long time. And maybe some napkins just to have on hand. Doesn't matter if you use gloves or not. I like using gloves, so you simply take them off when you're done. Alright, so we're going to put the receiver here, slide there, spring and barrel. Doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to start with the barrel. Go ahead and take a napkin and wipe off some of the excess oil, fouling. I've only got a couple hundred rounds through this since the last cleaning, but this is not bad practice. You don't have to clean your pistol after every single range trip. I like to say, you know, after 500 rounds, or if you're going to put it up for storage for a while, it's nice to have it clean and ready to go. Glocks are obviously known for their reliability, but if you're depending on it for your life, it's best to have it clean, lubed, ready to go. Clean the spring a little bit. Alright, we're going to go ahead and take a little CLP, put it on this barrel, put a little bit in it. You're going to take your brush and you want to push it forward the same direction as your projectile exits the barrel. You don't ever really want to go backwards. It is rifled, and also I like using a nylon brush. I never really use brass or steel or anything. You could damage your barrel. You know, a lot of people tell you 10 different ways. I know what works best for me. So push it through, unscrew. Doesn't take a whole lot, unless you just got thousands of rounds through it without cleaning. have a lot of fouling, so a few times should be sufficient. Put the brush aside. Go ahead and kind of wipe off this excess oil. Thing we're going to do is grab a patch. And you don't want to really do this motion here. You kind of want to do the same thing as you were doing with your brush. Push it through. As you can see, a little bit of black carbon come out of there. That's what we're trying to remove. Disregard that. Patches are cheap, y'all, so I have used napkins before. It's, you know, unless you got a match barrel and, you know, really high dollar piece of equipment, napkins will work. Patches are ideal. You know that old saying, there's no right way, but there is a wrong way. So I've used both methods. It's worked over the years. Haven't had any problems. And you want to do this until you don't see any more carbon. The only bad thing about doing it with gloves, it's a little harder. I'm a mechanic by trade, and of course turning nuts and bolts and anything with gloves is harder. Looks to be fairly clean already. See, there's no more fouling carbon coming out on that, so we're probably good. You don't want to have any excess oil in there. I don't know if you can see this or not. Probably not. Maybe some white backing. It's important to make sure all the excess oil out of there. It'll stay lubed. You know, and this is lubed, as you can see from putting oil on it earlier. We just wipe off all the excess. We'll put that piece aside. Next thing we'll do is work on the spring. Just add some oil, not gonna hurt it. I like to use a brush like this. Some people use a toothbrush. It's really just so you can get in there and scrub all that carbon off. Doesn't take a whole lot. As you're using this CLP, it's you know, when you wipe off the excess, it's going to leave it lubed. You know, you don't want it dripping, but I'm going to wipe it off. I like to keep a few napkins, paper towels on hand. You know, Some people will use a fiber cloth. It's all good. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. The most important thing is if you are using paper towels, just make sure no pieces are broken off, stuck in the springs when you're all done. Could cause you some issues down the road. So when you're done with that, it's going to leave it slightly filmed with the oil. It's lubed, good to go. Put that aside. Next piece we're going to work on here is the slide. This one's a little more meticulous. I'm just gonna, first thing we're going to do, let's just wipe off some excess carbon. Good. Some oil, put it on the slides where it makes contact with the metal. You don't really want to douse it up in there, but you know, this is, get it kind of satisfied. Now at this point is where you might need some of these or any Q-tip, but these work really well. Just kind of get in there in them grooves. As you can see, that's what we're removing, the carbon. These things are cheap online, guys, so you can order them by the thousands. Pretty much want to do this until the carbon's gone. If you wanted to take a paper towel, you can help get some of them big pieces in there. What we really want to do is not leave a whole bunch up in the bottom of that, or the top for that matter, if you're holding it like that. But that's, you know, just make sure it's clean. When it's left behind, you know, whatever's left behind is the film of the CLP, and that's a good thing. Crevices. Again, the most important thing is where the slide meets the rails, you know, the metal on metal. See, it's pretty much all gone, the carbon there. You're probably good at this point. Sometimes what I like to do, you know, again, not making a saturation there, but let's put a little CLP on the end of that. Let's just make sure these rails are lubed up. pieces. And just a little white down, all said and done. Good to go. Alright guys, the next part is the receiver. This part's a little more tedious. It's not bad, it's just got more metal pieces in there. What we don't want to do is douse a bunch of oil down on the trigger. It's not necessary to remove your trigger assembly. You know, once you get 3,000-4,000 rounds through it and you want to take it apart, that's, you know, one thing. But for the most part, these things are bulletproof, pun intended. They will run and run and run and run. You know, you don't have to, again, you don't have to keep your gun clean after every single range use. The most important part, that it's lubed. You don't want to run it dry for extended periods of time. That's where you have malfunctions. So let's go ahead and we will start with, just going to start with wiping off any excess off the bat. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit of oil on here. Clean all these metal pieces. Don't really want to get a lot of oil up in here. I like to stick a dry one up in there. So just wipe it off. Can't hurt. So as you see, nothing comes out of there. Just don't want to make sure there's no oil in there. So, all right. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of oil on these metal pieces. Just a little bit, because you don't want it saturated down in there. And same thing with the slide. Just want to get all these grooves, get all that carbon buildup off. As you see, look at that. And that's just probably after a few hundred rounds. When it's really dirty, you can use this brush and clean it all up in there. But again, it's not very dirty at all, so lubrication is more important. A few more in there until it's clean. Alright guys, so I've got it clean. pretty much wiped off all the excess oil. So what I'm gonna, even though it's probably lubed, I'm gonna take a little bit of CLP. And I'm just gonna gently lube all the little metal pieces in here. Where the metal touches the metal, most important. So, assembling this thing, one thing we got to do, just double check. Make sure there's no debris or fibers from their paper towels or anything in there. Right, we know the barrel and spring is good. So once we've checked, make sure there's no debris or fibers in there. Just gonna hold your slide, take your barrel. You want the flat part to go to the top of the slide. Drop it right in there like so. Orient the bigger end forward, and there's a little notch there. You just want to stick it in there. Good to go. And then you're just going to take this and line it up with the slides. Done. Now we're going to do a function check. Looks good to me. Alright guys, that's it. Hope you got something out of this. Hit that like, notification, subscribe. Helps channel. See you guys next time.